You're listening to the House Guy and Home Girl podcast, a podcast about real estate and real life. As realtors, home builders, and real estate investors, Jon and Kim keep it real. Former teachers turned real estate professionals, they have a heart for helping others. Join them each week as they discuss all things home. And now, here's your hosts, Jon and Kim.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Jon, the House Guy, here with my lovely co-host,
Kim, the Home Girl.
And this week, we got a great show lined up for you. We're going to talk a little bit about housing headlines, catch you up on kind of what we've been doing with our home building project that we've been working on, and basically just kind of keep things rolling forward so you can have some good content to talk about, comment below about, subscribe to the show. So what's been going on with you this week, Kim?
Oh, me. This week, let's see. Still trying to recover from Disney. Nora's been sick, and we got to get Emmett, he turned 17, that's right, but we got to get him ready for prom tomorrow.
He has a big day tomorrow for sure, his first little prom, and recovering from Disney has been tough. It was
Disney, and then it was like Easter, and then right after Easter, Emmett turned 17, and then the whole my baby is 17, that kind of, it's just
we both
crazy.
Got colds after that too, from just a bunch of
and
mess.
then trying to keep everything else spinning and going, and
he's and of course he's a teenage boy, so we're having to order the flowers and clean up the details and make sure we know where we're going to eat and that. So it's been
every little detail. Actually.
It's been a challenge for sure. But
how about you? What's been going on with you?
Just trying to keep things moving forward, get all this permitting done with the house that we're working on, get the septic tank application and the building permit and the utilities and, just little things that aren't difficult.
Taxes.
And then we've had our taxes, right? We got that done, which was no fun, of course. So, but just trying to get, I think it's just part of our life now. It's like we get past this. Whatever it is, we get past this, we'll be all right. We get past this.
But it's never,
it's just always the next thing.
Always, which is a blessing, though. That's a good thing to, always be busy and doing.
It's part of adulting, I guess, So, so anything else you kind of want to cover before we jump into these housing headlines for the week?
I'm excited about the house that we're building.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to talk about that or not, but.
Yeah, we can talk about that before we do that.
It's the biggest house that we've ever built.
Yeah.
And
a little nerve-wracking for me.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. If you build it, they will come.
You certainly believe that. That's right.
But it is. I'm super excited about it. And, I love doing that. I love, thinking about brick and windows and just all that, it's all fresh and new right now. But I'm sure in 6 weeks from now, I will be over it.
Over it. And it takes it's going in 6 months from now, I'll still
and
be.
And there won't even be it won't even have walls in it, and I'll be over it already. But it is, I'm excited about that house because, we took a plan and we took your input and square footage and, what people like and don't like. And I think it's going to be a really nice house with a lot of really nice features. It's a 4-bedroom, bonus room.
Yep.
It's going to have a really big back porch on it. We put in an entry door in the garage. We bumped out. We bumped out the garage a little bit to give it a little more space. Changed some doors because we took a plan that kind of checked all the boxes, and then we modified that based on your responses from the internet when Jon put out what is important to you, and just researching and things like that. We changed some things around, and I think it's going to be a really nice plan, though. I'm excited.
I can't wait till we finish it, and then you walk through it and say, next time we ought to bump this out.
Yeah.
We need to change this. And, you agonize over making it perfect, and then
it's still not perfect. Now, let me just say that.
No such thing as a perfect house.
Because I constantly want to tweak and change it. But anyways, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so we'll get it done.
We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah,
but
hopefully we'll get it
done.
It's like,
how many square feet is it ish?
3,200-ish, right? I
think it's like 34.
Yeah, but that's under roof. That counts the porches and everything.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, we'll have to give you updates along the way. And you may be the person that purchases that house. And if you are, like that, it's going to be a masterpiece in the end. I'm excited. I'm
confident. You're pretty confident.
I am. Okay. I have a vision, and it's going to be great. Anyways,
moving on. So stay tuned for the masterpiece. All right, that'll be great. So let's talk about these articles real quick and get on into the show, the meat of the show here.
What is the show, John?
So we're doing housing headlines, right? And I've got 2 housing headlines here. One is maybe reflects your "if you build it, they will come" mentality, and one maybe reflects my you sure about that? You sure about that?
You sure?
Right? Like, so this one, and it's kind of funny because it's 2 contradictory ideas, and it's kind of showing us basically what the housing market is doing right now, which is just volatility, right? So one from The Hill says, we get these housing headlines from the National Association of Home Builders. We get them once a week, and it kind of keeps us informed about what's going on in the housing market, building, and real estate. So it's really a good resource that they send out. But this one from The Hill says the home prices are soaring. What does that mean for buyers? Mortgage rates may finally settle down after more than a year of increases, but we don't expect much relief for home buyers. So home prices are soaring. The next article from Barron's says home prices are falling, where they could hold up and why. Home prices this spring will likely be lower than last year, though some markets will be stronger than others. So nationally, we're seeing basically certain markets are experiencing some slacking off, right? And then some are soaring. I mean, that's just really what's going on. The third article from CNBC says home prices suddenly jump after months of decline. So all that points me to the final result of the housing market is just volatile right now. Right.
Well, and also, like, when you read me those things, I've already read them, but and when I did read them immediately, like, when did they capture that research? You know, because the market is so fluid, and we have experienced that, and we've even here, you know, the highs and the lower lows, but people are still buying. So I wonder when that research was captured. And then, of course, you know, like you said, within the article, like it varies in different areas, you know, but regardless, people out there are still needing homes. And then some people are still needing to sell homes. And so, you know, with the interest rates the way they are, they're having to lower the price of the home in order to get it sold.
Yeah, and that takes us into the next article. Actually, great segue. Lack of home listings is taking a toll on mortgage demand. Mortgage rates fell last week a little bit. They're still pretty high, relatively speaking, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what's causing, like you said, there's still people that have to sell. You know, job changes, people have to relocate, you know, family dynamics.
And they can't just sit on that house for 2 years. I mean, you've got to sell it. And so, like, you've got to, you know, the square foot price may have been way up here, you know, 2 years ago. Well, unless you wanted to get that way up their price, you know, you should have sold them, because now people, the amount of money that they're going to have to pay monthly for their mortgage based on the interest rates, I can't afford it.
Can't afford it, right? And not only that, but the people that are, unless they're in a family situation or a job situation or something that forces them to move, most of the people that got those 2.5-3% mortgages are saying, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit right here, because if I sell my house, I might make some money, but then I got to go out and buy a house and pay 7% interest. So I can't.
Or they're living comfortably in their, say, 2,500 square foot house, you know, square feet house, and they can't afford that same square footage and have the same, amenities within their home that they have.
Yeah, they're going to have
Granted,
to
they'll
downsize,
have to
right?
downsize.
Which, I mean, some people do that anyway.
Some people are doing that.
Right, but
regardless, people are still buying and selling around here. I mean, not as much, and people are thinking about it more to where, before, when the housing market was so high, they were, people were kind of selling to make money, really, to get out from under their mortgage.
Why would I not sell? Because I can get all this money.
And two, there were so many houses that were on the market that, hey, I, had an interest in my neighbor's house or whatever, or a house down the street, they could sell theirs and then buy that one, and then, their mortgage wouldn't change a whole lot. But now it's kind of like people, houses are sitting, and people are, they're having to really think and weigh out all those things.
And buyers can be more selective now.
Buyers can be.
Used to, they had to throw that money down and just take what they could get. Right, but now they can be more selective. I was going to look.
Which is kind of like a good thing, like realtors can breathe a little bit, and because we were seeing all kind of crazy add-ons to contracts, like, I mean, people, they were getting really creative in their contracts. I mean, it had escalation clauses in them. I think around here it was like $15,000 escalation clauses. But
people were doing whatever they had to do to get a house.
Whatever they had to do.
It wasn't a limit on. I mean, some, especially if they had the money.
I think the most I saw was like a $15,000 escalation clause. Definitely home inspections were being waived. I mean, a lot of them were sight unseen, just going in and doing a FaceTime video. But now they can be more selective and really think about, is this house the right house for me? So, anyways.
I am looking at the data on...
That's what I was thinking about on the homes sold around here.
Yeah, I was trying to pull that up, but it's kind of being finicky. Looks like 8 homes in the last 60 days, but I don't think that's right. I mean, that's what when you pull this up, that's what it says. Residential property, Colbert, Lauderdale County is showing 8. Let me run a different search here. But all that being said, I mean, we know that it's not 2021 anymore, right? Like, and that's the thing. I think buyers obviously can be a little more picky, but agents also are trying to help people be a little more realistic, right? Like, in other words, you've got to be able to sell a house now. And, it used to be a couple years ago, you didn't have to be able to sell a house. Mm-hmm. As an agent, all you had to do was be able to get a listing, and you sold the house. Now you have to market and do those things.
Have open houses and things like that. Yes.
Yeah, so it's... And
then also, because people saw all this going on and houses just literally flying off the shelf, people are still like, well, I want to have my house at X amount of dollars. That's kind of not where... You're not. It's not going to sell at that price point because of interest rates and what the person's monthly mortgage costs would be.
If I go back now in the MLS, it looks like Colbert, Lauderdale County is showing like 15 houses in the last 60 days have kind of changed hands. I still don't think that's up to date. There's probably some stuff to be updated there, but regardless, it's not. I know that like in March of, on the average for the last 5 years, it's somewhere around 100 or more, So it's, even if this is wrong, I've got something clicked wrong or something in here and 15 isn't right, it's not 150. We know that for a fact. So, that being said, people aren't looking to sell because they've got their interest rate where they want it a couple years ago. They're kind of stuck right there. As far as building goes, it's still a decent time to build. You got to look at your final interest rate that you can get, your final financing. But lumber costs, material costs have kind of come down and stabilized a little bit. And so it's not a terrible time to build a house.
Right. Regardless, after all those headlines, still, if you are wanting to buy a house, it's still better to buy the house instead of rent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the end, it's still better to get all your financial paperwork and all your finances in order to buy a house, because that's going to give you something, that's going to give you an asset 2 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because a lot of people, I think, are saying, I'm just going to wait for the interest rates to, you know, come back down. Well, you know, we may not see that for a long time.
You may not see what you saw in the last 3 or 4 years. You may not see a below 5% interest rate in your lifetime again.
Yeah, you may not see that again.
I mean, those were historic, right? So one thing, I guess,
people are still buying, and they still should buy, because it's an investment, it's an asset, you know. But now if you're just trying to, you know, people are not doing a lot of, well, I don't like this and that of my house, and I think I'll just sell it. You know, there's not a lot of that going on. There's a lot of, you know, I think I'll stay where I'm at, and that's kind of some of the article, you know, some of the research in that article is leaning in that direction.
To wrap it up, let's talk about this post this is on Bigger Pockets. And it says, you know, recently the FHA floated out 40-year mortgages, right? You know, instead of a 30-year, now we're going to take this and make it a 40-year mortgage. So the question posed on the Bigger Pockets Facebook page is, what are your immediate thoughts on 40-year mortgages? So what is your immediate thought?
I'm taking it back to Dave Ramsey, okay, y'all, and also what a loan officer would tell you. Yes, that's probably going to get you a lower monthly mortgage, but y'all, if you can't afford it now, you can't afford it. Like Dave Ramsey would say, don't buy what you can't afford. You know, live like no one else today, like you can live like no one else today, so you can live like no one else tomorrow. Mm-hmm. If you can't afford that house today, like, you're not going to be able to ever afford it. And like, I look at that kind of makes me angry. You know, it's a double-sided coin, I guess, you know, because, you know, that is going to allow
double-edged sword. Yeah. All coins have two sides.
I know. Like, I get my stuff.
It's a double-sided coin. Like, all coins have two sides.
Sorry. Oh, you can cut that. You can cut that.
Do not cut that. It's a double-edged sword.
Stop. Okay. Anyways, look, I still don't know. It's a two-sided coin. Is that what people
all coins have two sides? That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Anyways,
it
people
cuts both ways.
Let me just get my point across. People are going to probably be able to afford a house by extending their loan out. Okay.
Right.
But
they'll be able to afford the payment, right? They can afford more house because the payment is longer.
Because the payment is decreased and it's extended over a longer period of time. But to me, that's like you have taken the housing market and you have made it like anything else that you know is out there. Let's take this credit card and let's put all this money on this credit card and let's, you know, pay it off.
Make the minimum payment for 30 years.
Payment for 30 years, you know. And so you've got this PlayStation that was $500 and you wound up paying $2,000 for it in the end.
It's similar to like vehicles, right? Like, you know, we've been kind of looking at that, and say a truck, an $80,000 truck, like pickup trucks are just crazy high right now. But then the way they get around it is they say, oh, we'll finance it for you for 7 years. Mm-hmm. Well, it still means you're paying that much for the truck. And yeah, I can afford the payment, I guess, if you make it my payment stretched out over 10 years or whatever, but like it still doesn't make sense to pay that much for a truck, right? And so if it doesn't make sense to pay that much for a house, that you have to stretch it out over 40 years to make it work, then it doesn't make sense. It's too much. It's too house. Much. Now, if it may be a great product if you're looking at him, you know, like for an investment.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like there's different ways to look at it. You know, don't look at it. Don't just keep looking and, you know, getting up and up and up and trying to find more house because you can get it pushed out 40 years. I mean, you want to get it paid for. Like, that's the goal, is to get it paid for and have some equity in it. But at the same time, you know, you want to be able to afford it. But now a house is different, though. Everybody, you have to have a house to live in. So, you know, and we live in an area where, the housing market is still pretty.
It's affordable.
It's affordable, yes. Yeah. I can't think of my words today. Anyways, not like somewhere where California or Florida, and talking about the housing market surge and all that. A lot of people, they were moving after that, were moving from California and Florida and moving here. So there's still a need, and people are still selling and buying houses here because people are moving to other places across the nation.
And I've said it 100 times before too. I don't think our real estate market here is, the beauty of the Shoals area real estate market is it's stable, right? Mm-hmm. And we saw during those crazy couple years after COVID a run up. The stability
though, right? Too, like we've got the landscape, where we are, schools, community, low crime rate, all those play into that stability ratio.
But our real estate market has not traditionally fluctuated to big swings over time. When we saw, like I said, the crazy run up after COVID, our local prices adjusted some to the national average. We kind of caught up to that a little bit, but now we're not going to move backwards from that very much, I don't think, unless you're trying to shoot for the moon.
Well, just research shows we're not going to decline.
Yeah, much. But we're going to go back to that steady. That's my opinion anyway. We're going to go back to that steady 1%, 2%, 3% increase year after year. You're not going to see 10%, 20% gains like you have in the past, or those couple of years that we saw. But I don't see us going backwards and losing money on real estate here. So
the common denominator, if you are renting and you want to buy, it's never a bad time to buy. It's always going to be a good time to buy. Now, as far as what you buy, you need to be a little more careful. Don't buy too big of a house.
Don't go from an $800 a month apartment, to taking out a 40-year mortgage and buying a, $700,000 house. That's not going to work out for you.
Right.
Be sensible, of course. I mean, that's all we got to really think about when we're helping clients and stuff like that, is make sure that they're not, making the wrong decisions. And that's what, kind of what we do. So all that being said, I think that'll wrap us up for this week. I feel like we've covered a good range of topics here. If you have questions about any of the things that we covered, drop a comment below, or maybe tell us how you feel about 40-year mortgages. What do you think they are? Are they good or bad or ugly, or you're indifferent? Drop us a comment below. Be sure to like and subscribe to the page. Contact us if we can help you in any way. And thanks for tuning in. You guys have a great week.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the House Guy and Home Girl podcast, your #1 source for all things home. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and check out our YouTube page for video content from the show.